Hello, today we're going to be talking about loading up software for the Raspberry Pi using a program called the Imager. It'll allow you to load software onto an SD card, not only the operating system, but also some associated applications that you might find useful in the future. So the first thing we're going to do is go to a website called raspberrypi.com/software. And this is where we'll be able to download our initial set of software to get the imager onto your system. As you can see up on the screen, we've gone to that website. And as you scroll down, you'll notice there's a couple of different download options down here in this area here that will enable you to choose the type of software you need depending on the system that you're using to do the download with. In our case, today we're using a Windows type system, so we're going to select download for Windows. If you were using, let's say, a Macintosh type system, you'd actually want to choose the one just below that says download for Mac OS. So we're going to go ahead and start the download here. As you can see, it pops up a screen and we can see some software being loaded. That's the imager itself coming down to, in this case, the Windows operating system. The next thing that we're going to do is actually run a copy of that imager software to install it on the PC itself. So by clicking on that, we're going to wait for it to come up with the installer. Now, typically on a Windows system, you're going to get some type of pop-up box like this that's going to ask you if you really want to download this particular software. So we're going to click on yes. And then we've got a couple more questions to answer before it actually does the actual install. So first we're going to click on the install button. And as we can see, it did it install very quickly. The installer itself works pretty fast in this case. And then finally, we're going to tell it to finish. And as we finish up, it actually starts up the Raspberry Pi Imager software. So the first thing we're going to do is basically what's called choose an operating system. So we're going to click on choose OS, and it brings up a list of options that we can do while we're within the imager itself. The first thing we actually want to do is make sure that our card is properly formatted to accept the software that's going to be downloaded to it. So I'm going to click on the erase button here to let it know that we want to do an erase of the card itself. Now, before it does the erase, the other thing we've got to do is let it know which particular storage device we want to do the erase on. So I'm going to click on this thing where it says choose storage. And in this case, we've got a SD card that's a 32 gigabyte card installed on this particular laptop that we're going to format. So I'll click on this to select what we're going to format. And then finally, I'll click on the right button, which will actually start the erase of the card itself. And it's allowing me to back out of this in case I chose the incorrect card. But we have the right card selected, so we're going to say yes. And as we can see, it's starting to prepare the card itself. And this is going to take a minute or two while it does this. And now it's let us know that the card itself has been erased. So we're going to click continue. Now that we've actually erased the card and gotten it ready for a software installation, we're going to go on to the next step. So I'm going to go back here to our main screen where we started the erase before. And now we're going to go up and click on this Raspberry Pi OS 32-bit. And then we're going to go down here and select other because we're actually going to download a full version of the Raspberry Pi OS rather than just the operating system itself. And as we come down, there's several different options to choose from. Now, what we're going to go with is the one that says Raspberry Pi OS full 32-bit. And we're going to select this. This is the one that will bring down not only the operating system to the card that we're loading, but also a number of applications. So now we're set to actually start the download. We've got our card selected that we're going to write to. And we're just going to simply click on the right button here. And again, it's going to prompt us to ensure that we definitely want to write over what's on the card right now. So we'll say yes. And it'll start downloading. Now, this particular download operation will actually take several minutes to complete. Welcome back. We've just completed loading the software and actually verifying it also. We spent probably about 15 minutes in this part of the cycle, so just be patient once you start the download. It will eventually complete. It'll just take a little bit of time. So once the download is completed, as you can see on the screen, basically you get a message indicating that it's successfully completed. If something should fail during the download, it will let you know that it's failed. And probably your only option is to go back and try it again. So since we've successfully completed this part of the operation, we'll hit the continue. And we're essentially done. We're ready to take the card and actually insert it into the Raspberry Pi board itself and start the boot up process to complete the rest of the configuration. Once you've got a fresh card like this, the first thing that happens when you try to boot it up, it will ask you a series of questions about how you want to configure your system. And if you've got a network connected, it may ask you a bit of information about configuring the setup itself or the network you're running.